Welcome everyone to the 21-22 school year, where we will be presenting to you our virtual student and parent orientation. It's been 14 long months since we've had any students on campus, and I'd just like to tell you we're all excited about having everyone back. We're looking forward to having everyone back here on campus. Before going on, I'd just like to introduce to you two special people here on our campus. That is Mr. Allende Palma-Sriracho, our assistant principal, and Mr. Oscar Gomez, our other assistant principal. And so, hi, we have a new assistant principal on board. She wasn't able to make it tonight, and her name is Dr. Jennifer Sandoval. And hopefully when you get a chance here on campus, you'll be able to introduce yourself to her. Next slide. We've got a lot of information to share with everyone. We're going to be reviewing the registration process, the instructional day. We're going to go over the COVID screening procedures that we're going to ask students to go through as they enter our campus. We're going to be touching up upon student expectations, social emotional support, athletics, and we're going to end this session with a question and answer part of our presentation. But once again, we're just so excited about having everyone here, and let's get going. Let's start with the registration process. Mr. Gomez.
Maybe if you want to talk about the question and answer, folks, if you have questions throughout this presentation, you can use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit questions, and we'll try to answer them as we go or get them all at the end, like Mr. Marquez said.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Oscar Gomez, the Assistant Principal of Student Services. Just want to introduce myself and introduce our registration process for the 2021-22 school year. One of the new key components for this school year is we're going to be going into a new student information system. So some of you guys might have remembered the system that we had last year with that permission clip for the registration process. This year, it's going to be a little bit different, where students are going to go through the registration process by appointment, process. So we'll be talking about the appointment process. Appointments are going to be distributed beginning this week, and I'll go over the actual calendar for registration by grade level. But it's going to be really important that once we get what we call the Synergy Parent View portal up and running, parents will be able to finalize their registration process after registration with important information pertaining to address, immunizations, lunch application, guardian information, health information. So we want to make sure that that's going to be an additional process after the students register on their registration date. Students will be receiving an email beginning today with their 12th grade students through their Google emails with their appointment times by grade level. So we want to make sure we're beginning our registration process this Thursday for our seniors, and then we'll follow with the additional dates for our other grade levels. So we will be starting with seniors this Thursday. So it'll be very important that your seniors are prepared this Thursday by looking at their Gmail account and making sure they understand when their registration times will be. Okay. One key component as we're moving to this new system for registration, and we move forward with the school with the Synergy system, that we collect parent emails. So during the registration process, one of the stations is going to be dedicated to making sure that the parent information is accurate, and that we have a current email for all parents. As we move into this digital age, it's really important that we're able to communicate with parents through email. So we'll be encouraging all parents to provide us with an email address for the household. Parent portal information can be accessed at the following website. We'll have this information posted on our website at the end of the presentation by tomorrow, so parents can access our actual our PowerPoint in order to access any of the links that are provided tonight. So one important component that we will be providing all students is we're going to be providing them with an activation key for the Parent View portal for the new Synergy system. So Synergy is going to be our new data entry system that's going to be used here at Mountain View High School and throughout our district. And that's going to begin the beginning of the facilitation of our parent portal. Many of you guys that are returning parents have heard of School Loop. School Loop was a way of us being able to look at student grades and progress. The new Synergy Parent View will be replacing that system for this next upcoming academic school year. Next slide. Okay, so the registration times will begin at 8:30 a.m. From 8:30 to 12 p.m. And then we'll be taking a lunch from 12 to 1. And then we'll be resuming from 1 to 2:30. Important registration dates will be August 5th for seniors, August 6th for juniors, August 9th for sophomores, and August 10th for freshmen. And we'll also be discussing later on, we will be having a freshman orientation on August 13th for all our incoming freshmen and sophomore students, correct?
Mhm.
On August 13th. So really important, we just sent out our first batch. So if you're a senior student, your registration appointments went out today. Make sure you check your Google school issued account to check for your registration. Junior appointments will go out tomorrow. Sophomore appointments will go out on Wednesday, and the freshman appointments will go out on Thursday of this week. And we'll be sending reminders throughout the week through voice calls being sent home, as well as the emails that are being sent not only to the parents, but also to the students. Next slide. So here's on registration day, we're going to have all students come in through our Denholm Stadium parking lot. So this will be located where our Viking Stadium entrance is off of Denholm. We will start through the screening process. All students will be required to wear a mask when they come through the registration process. They'll have to also go through temperature screening to make sure that we're following all the state and local protocols during this time. Very important is textbooks. If students have not brought back their textbooks either during the summertime or the spring semester of last academic school year, we encourage that all students bring their textbooks during the registration process in order to avoid any type of fines or loss or book fines for that case. So make sure that you bring all your textbooks on your registration date and you provide that. That would be station number 1, textbook return. You can look at the diagram here. This will show the flow of the registration process. One of the key components is that students will be provided with an activation key so parents could finish up their registration. Once the registration is complete here on campus, students will be given an activation key that will be sent home to parents in order for all parents to activate their Parent View portal. Next slide.
I don't know if you want to mention, Gomez, the Fast Pass, just when they get to Station 3.
Yes, another component is a Fast Pass. So basically our Fast Pass would be for those students who have their COVID-19 immunization. So if you have students who've gone through the vaccine process and have taken the COVID-19 vaccination, we'll need some type of proof for that in order to allow students to go through our Fast Pass screening. We are going to be screening students on a daily basis once school starts in person. So those students who do get a Fast Pass based on their current vaccination will be able to go through the screening process without answering the COVID questions or doing the temperature screening that we're going to be doing on a daily basis.
And it's basically a little icon that'll be on your ID pass so that every time you come to campus and you need to enter events, basically allows you to basically skip the line and be able to get in quickly and safely. So we just ask that you bring proof, whether it's your card with your vaccine appointments or whether it's a printout, but something that we can use to therefore create your specialized ID.
And another component for our incoming 9th graders, some of our incoming 9th graders, we do have a 1-to-1 policy here in the El Monte Union High School District, which means that each student is going to be given a Chromebook device. So if you're incoming 9th graders and have not picked up your Chromebook, those will be distributed during the registration. One thing that we do ask of all our incoming 9th graders, you guys were provided credentials back during your pre-registration process from your feeder school. One of the components that all incoming 9th graders have to do, they have to complete a component called Access for All, which could be found on our website, which will allow them to have access to the actual Chromebook. So that's one of the steps that's going to be required for your students to be able to take the Chromebook home. So students will be able to log onto our website, go onto the link that indicates access for all, and using their Google credentials that were provided to them, they would be able to go through the application process to have that. If you have any problems with that, we will help our incoming ninth graders during this registration process to make sure they complete that process and have their one-on-one device ready for them when they come on campus for the first day of instruction. Okay. Okay, during the registration process, counselors will be here in person providing the actual registration of students that will be programming students into classes. So our counselors here at Mountain View High School are broken down by alphabet. We have Miss Claudia Altran, who serves the alphabet A through EQU. We have Miss Brenda Padron, who serves the alphabet ER through LOP. We have Miss Maria Palmieri, who serves the alphabet LOQ through RAMN. And then we have Jeanette Rodriguez, who serves the alphabet or RAMO through Z. Our comprehensive counselors have a ratio of about 350 students to 1 to provide academic counseling to all our students here at Mountain View High School.
Okay, so then I was going to get into talking to you folks about our instructional day. So another big change to be aware of for this year is our school start time. Our start time and our end time have changed this year. So our district has implemented a new start time of 8:30 for our first period classes. This is part of a statewide initiative that schools will be starting at a later time. Our district has decided to start this year with that implementation. So as you can see here, this is what we call our block schedule, which is our typical day here at Mountain View High School. Our days are broken up into either purple days, where you have periods 0, 1, 3, 5, and 7, or our gold days, which are periods 2, 4, 6, and period 7, and they alternate. So regardless of the day, the times are the same. This is what a typical day would look like. If you're in 0 period, the day starts at 7:30 and the 0 period is 51 minutes. It goes till 8:21. First period then starts at 8:30. It goes till 10:06, about 96 minutes. That's the same. Nutrition, we then have a 12-minute nutrition period where students can get a breakfast item, a snack. They can also get this before school. Typically, if they get here before 8:30, so they're here at 8 o'clock or so, they can get that same nutrition snack, or they can wait until the nutrition break. We have 5-minute passing periods between each class. We then have our second class of the day for the typical student, which is period 3 or 4, and that goes from 10:23 to 12:01. So again, pretty similar in the amount of minutes. We have our lunch period after that, which will now be at 12:01 till 12:38. And we have our passing period. We then make our way to 5th or 6th period, and we start with SSR, so staying silent reading, for about 15 minutes. And once SSR is over, then we begin with our class time, which you can see there is from 12:58 to 2:34. We have our next passing period, and our last period of the day, which is a 7th period, is from 2:39 to 3:30. 7th period is the one class that is offered that in 0 period every single day, and that is a consistent 51 minutes. So unlike the block schedule where you see these longer blocks of time of 96 minutes, those periods are shorter, but they are offered every single day. So just something to be aware of. We expect all students to be here on time, but hopefully this will help as you transition back. Just knowing that we will be starting about approximately 30-40 minutes later than we typically did. We used to start at 7:50, and now we'll be starting at 8:30. That is our typical day. The next schedule that you should be aware of is called our non-block day, and we only have this 5 times throughout the year, and typically it's at the beginning of a new semester. So for instance, when we start school, the very first days of school on August 17th and August 18th will be considered what we call these non-block days. And that means that you have every single class period on that day. So on that day, as you can see, the class periods are a lot shorter. They're about 49 minutes in length. So you basically will go to each and every class. It starts at the same time. It's at 8:30. but you can see that they're shorter. So period 1, 8:30 to 9:15, period 2, 9:24 to 10:13, so on and so forth. So just be aware that on the first 2 days of school, you'll be going to all your classes. So that allows you to check in and make sure you get all the materials, make sure you're all in the correct classes. If you're missing any particular classes from your schedule, that's the kind of thing you want to be following up with your counselors about. But those are the first 2 days. And then we also do that at the beginning of the finals week. So you'll see that again in December. You'll see it on the first day of the second semester in January. And then the last week of finals, we also do it. You'll see there on May 27th. So that's only a few days out of the year. And the last important schedule to be aware of is called our late start schedule. And late start is basically when we start later for students. This provides a time for our teachers and staff to have professional development, collaboration, and staff meetings. So 15 times out of the year, and it depends whether it's a purple or gold day. Again, it alternates, so it just depends on what it happens to fall on that day. But basically, you would be starting your first period class not at 8:30, but at 10:10. So that would take place on these particular days, and you'll notice that the classes are a little smaller in the block because we start later. So our first class would be from 10:10 to 11:22, which is about 72 minutes. Our third and fourth period are the same amount of time, 11:27 they would start. Our lunchtime is a little later on in the day. So instead of 12 o'clock, the lunch period is at 12:39. We have our last period 5-6 of 1:21, and our last class is still the consistent 51 minutes. So that hasn't changed. You'll notice 7th period and 0 period are the same times regardless of late start or normal typical day. Okay, so those are 3 important schedules to be aware of. And we will also be sharing this information along with our slides.
Okay.
You gonna go into that, Marcus?
Yeah. We understand that that not all parents will feel comfortable attending school in person, and so consequently, our district will be offering an independent study program, which is available by enrolling in our online learning program, which is called OPL. And OPL offers a rigorous high school curriculum with tremendous flexibility through an asynchronous online or blended instruction. And so this is different than distance learning. Students that are at OPL are not live streaming into class, but instead are enrolled in independent coursework that utilizes online resources, videos, and other supports to drive instruction. OPL allows flexibility for students who wish to do their entire school experience online. The program works best for students who are independently driven to succeed in school and or have a strong academic support at home. And so to enroll in this program and to get more information, you need to go onto our website at bit.ly/EMUHSDIS. So that's where you'll get that information for that. Thank you. And in regards to the COVID screening process, Mr. Palma-Sriracho, Mr. Gomez already made reference. If you are vaccinated and you can provide proof, we will be able to put a special emblem on your ID card to where you'll just basically have a fast pass walk in every morning. If you're not vaccinated and you still wish to get on campus a little quicker, then you can do your home screening at home. And that will be done through a COVID-19 screener, which will be a daily activity that you'll be doing from your student Chromebook. You will be given a link to that process, and you just need to do it every day so that you can get through the line faster. Or if you don't wish to do that and you don't have the fast pass, then you can do the COVID-19 in-person screening here at school, where basically we'll be doing your temperature screening and asking you those basic screening questions every day. So it's up to you on how you want to do it. we encourage you to try to get the fast pass because that's the quickest way and easiest way for you to get on campus. But in the end, it's up to you and your parents to decide which is best for you. All right.
Okay, there was a quick question regarding the Fast Pass. For those students that did Fast Pass in the summer, we would need to do a new Fast Pass in the fall. Just one of the biggest components is we have to make sure that we have all your vaccination records. So we'll be looking at that again since we did it in the summer temporarily. If we do have a vaccination record from you already that you submitted, you won't have to submit it again. But those who have not submitted the vaccination record, bring us a copy the day of registration, and we will be doing those Fast Pass IDs the day of registration. Okay. There's also a couple questions about zero period and seventh period. Zero period is an optional period. We really only have two courses during zero period. One is academic decathlon, and the other one would be leadership. So those students who belong to either of those two groups would have a mandatory zero period. Everybody else doesn't. As far as seventh period is concerned, seventh period is for all students in grades 9 and 10. Once you get into the 11th and 12th grade, you could go into what we call a 5-period day, where seventh period becomes an optional period for those students who are on track with graduation. Okay, we want to move into student expectations. We just want to make sure that we provide as much information now when students are returning. Students have not been on campus for over a year. One of the biggest components is that we are returning in person, so there won't be a hybrid schedule coming in the fall. It'll be basically direct instruction here in person. One of the key components with that becomes attendance. So we want to make sure that students are here on time daily. We're coming back to a school year with a new start time. So we are starting at 8:30, which is now 30 minutes later than our traditional start time. So we're moving forward with the State Assembly Bill, which goes in effect next year, which requires all schools in the state of California to start at 8:30. So we're following those procedures. We're a little bit ahead of the game. So we want to make sure that students understand this time change, but they're also able to get here on time and be prepared. And one of the biggest things is that if we go through the screening process on a daily basis, we want to make sure that students are here early enough to go through the screening process and come on campus on time and be able to get into their classrooms without any issues. So be on time, positive daily attendance promotes student success. Chronic absenteeism must be avoided. Chronic absenteeism is any student that misses more than 10% of a school year due to absences. So we want to make sure that we provide as many incentives to allow students to come on campus and stay here. We're also going to be providing at registration. One of our stations is a station called Hazel Health. You probably got some information in the mail about Hazel Health, but Hazel Health is going to be services that we're going to be providing here on campus to allow us through our nurse's office to provide over-the-counter medication for students who might be ill on any given day, and access to an actual doctor virtually to look at current situations and really to promote students to stay on campus. Students must wear face coverings on campus. That's one of the protocols that our district has just provided parents through our Dr. Zuniga's, our superintendent's newsletter to the community. So we want to make sure that students are wearing face coverings on campus, especially in the classroom. All students are assigned a Chromebook. So really important as we move into this new age of education, we're providing and we're investing millions of dollars in Chromebooks for all our students to have that one-on-one device. Not only do we have Chromebooks for any family that needs a MiFi, we've also been contracting lately with T-Mobile to provide MiFi for any student that needs internet access. We want to make sure that students bring their Chromebooks and their chargers on a daily basis to allow for a lot of the facilitation of the new instruction that took place last year to continue some of the new apps and programs that we have built into our Chromebooks. Students should be prepared to come to school, backpacks, school supplies. We want to make sure that coming to school on a daily basis, students are prepared and ready to learn. Dress code will be enforced. We just want to make sure that students come to school. No uniforms are required in high school. We want to make sure that students are wearing age appropriate clothing at the time, and no anything pertaining to gang attire is not allowed on campus. All students must present a note, phone calls for absences. So one of the key components, if you are, if for any reason you're missing, that you communicate with the school either through a phone call or a letter sent to our attendance office. Check your school issued Google email daily. We are moving to a new information system, but one of the key components that we've been working with our district is what we call a Google education school. So all our platforms revolve around Google. So we want to make sure that students are aware of their Google email, that they check their emails on a constant basis. That's where most of our communication will be coming from, and that they have access and they know how to access their Google accounts. A lot of our freshman courses will focus on teaching them how to access that information. Another key component of our student expectations is our mental health. We will be talking a little bit about our wellness centers, which have been created this year throughout our school district, but really focusing on our student mental health as they come back from being at home and making that transition to full instruction. Students will be issued IDs this summer or this fall during the registration process. We want to make sure that students have their school IDs at all times. As students are wearing their face coverings, we want to make sure that we're able to identify students and make sure that we keep a safe campus for everyone here at Mountain View High School.
And we'll be issuing a school lanyard like we have in the past to basically be able to hang and have present your ID. So we are requiring all students to wear their lanyard daily with their school ID.
And as I mentioned before, so we're really excited about providing a full social emotional support for our students for this next academic school year. Our district has really gone out to really invest money in students' social emotional support. They've recently contracted out with the licensed marriage, family, and therapist, social workers throughout the district to be able to provide support in our wellness centers. So our wellness centers will provide peer support programs and services, prevention and self-help resources, self-care, meditation break areas. We'll also be providing scheduled wellness support services such as behavioral support workshops, growth and interest groups, individual and group counseling, and also mental health services through our many mental health agencies that we work with. We work with approximately 15 mental health providers throughout the city of El Monte that we have access to. So we really want to make sure that as we move forward and move into in-person instruction, that we provide a lot of support for some of our students that might be suffering from things like anxiety, depression, fear. So we want to make sure that we provide as much support as possible 24/7 on our campus. So the EMU-HSD CARES platform is kind of our umbrella term to support social and emotional support throughout our school district. Our wellness centers will be open every day from 8:30 a.m. To 3:30 p.m. and we'll have a variety of services throughout the year to support our students. We also have a new contract with the Azusa Pacific University, where they will also be providing interns to help us support our wellness center.
And these services are accessible regardless of what insurance you carry, or even if insurance is a problem and you don't have an insurance at this time. Our district has basically worked with these different providers, these different services, so that won't be a problem. We'll be able to service students of all kinds of varieties. So wanted to speak a little bit about athletics. So athletics are back. They've been back since the end of last academic year. And so this year we are in full swing. Several of our fall sports are already out there practicing, getting ready for the year ahead. So such as football, volleyball, cross country. Our band is getting up and running. We have band camp starting, I believe, as early as this Friday next week. So if you are interested in becoming a part of that, whether it's one of these fall sports or winter sports such as soccer and basketball, or spring sports such as baseball, softball, track, etc., The very first thing that you'll want to do, Vikings, is to make sure that you get cleared. Our clearance process, we are maintaining our online clearance process. So all of this is available online on our website, which is what you have a picture of there. That's our athletics website. And then if you go to our athletics website, I actually listed the domain here as well, that you could type this into your computer. You'll need to make sure you provide an updated physical, especially in light of the pandemic. We want to make sure that you have had a recent doctor's visit. So it should be ideally from June 1st on. That basically clears you to participate in physical activities. And that can be anything from cheer, band, sports, different athletics. If you're doing a physical activity, we want to make sure that you have been cleared to do so. You cannot have any kind of practice until you do so. So make sure to check that out. You need to make sure you update your physical, like I mentioned, and there's a packet where you'll need to have you and your parents sign waivers before being allowed to participate in practices here. So again, if you're interested in playing any kind of athletic activity or sport, please go ahead and check out our website. There's a lot of great information there. If you need help learning where to find a physical, we have also listed some reference areas in the nearby community where you can go get a sports physical. We list our coaches there if you're interested in communicating with the coach regarding practice times or how to sign up. There's a lot of information there regarding everything from our how do I get a sports physical, our physical sports form, how to sign up for different sports, district insurance. We offer district insurance, which is called Myers-Stevens Insurance. We have some different return to play meetings that we've scheduled there so that you know about some of our protocols. Our indoor and high contact sports are doing weekly testing at this time. We are continuing that for your safety. So if you are a part of an indoor activity, such as volleyball, such as basketball, or a high contact sport such as football, we are requiring students who are not vaccinated to complete weekly COVID testing. And we do that here on campus. We provide a test kit that students are able to take home on Tuesdays and return on Wednesdays. We are working with a lab through our district that will then test your samples and do this relatively quickly so that we get the results back in 24 hours and are aware of everyone's status as far as just knowing that everybody is cleared and COVID free so that you guys can practice stress free. So that is available. If you have been vaccinated, it is not required for you to do weekly testing at this time. So if you have been vaccinated and you want to participate in sports, again, please make sure to bring by at some point proof of vaccination so that we can add that to your athletic profile. And so at this time, if there's any questions, we'll take a look at our Q&A. Again, there's a feature at the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. And if you have a question about something that we've covered or something that maybe we missed, please go ahead and submit something at this time.
You know, one of the questions that keeps coming up is regarding OPL. So just we want to make sure that everybody understands the process for OPL. It is an application process, so it's not 100% guaranteed. It's something that's going to go through the district office. It's not necessarily going through the sites. The district office will look at the application process, will look at the reasonings for the consideration for independent studies, then they will make a decision. So one of the questions was, do we still go through the registration process? Yes, we want to make sure that everybody goes through the registration process so we can account for all the students that are coming back to us, whether they're coming back in an independent study form or in person. So those are really the only two options that we have going on as far as schooling at this time. So we want to make sure that the OPL process, that we understand that it is an application process and you can fill out that application and then the district office will determine whether or not you qualify for that particular option.
And there's also, students also ask whether if a student is on OPL, will they be allowed to participate in extracurricular activities on campus? And my response to that is, generally speaking, students will be allowed to participate in after-school activities. They'll need to be on campus throughout the day, generally speaking. And with that being said, the final determination of who attends OPL and can attend extracurricular activities will be based on individual circumstances and be made in collaboration between Mountain View High School and the district office.
A lot of it's going to come down to your application and your reasoning. So
Exactly.
if there's, for instance, a medical or a certain issue of why you're not able to come onto the campus for daily in-person learning, it could also be prohibitive against doing after-school activities such as sports, again, depending on what the reasoning is. So please be sure to provide whatever the reason may be if you choose to do the OPL option, so that district is aware and we can make the appropriate decision.
There's a question also whether the bell schedules are printed, will be printed on paper, or will it be emailed? I believe it's going to be both. Your bell schedules. Oh, wait a minute. Are the bell schedules printed on our agendas?
They weren't, because this decision was made in the summer. So
Okay.
they're not on there at this time.
They'll be on our website, but we'll also, when students actually get their textbooks, that will be our last station. We're going to print out their schedule. So we'll have a copy of the bell schedule to provide for students as well during that component. Okay, a question about makeup registration. So basically, unfortunately, based on our schedule that we have right now, we were going to have registration on those 4 days. Any makeup registration will take place on the first day of school, which will be Tuesday, August 17th.
There's a question as what time is school going to start next year, since the schedule will change? Well, it will start at 8:30 school day on a normal regular school day.
There's a question regarding PE clothes. Yes, during registration process, we will be selling PE clothes for anybody who needs PE clothes. So that's going to be one of the stations that will allow you to get that PE equipment. And will there be after school homework help? Yes, we will be working with an outside agency known as Prep, who does our after school tutoring. So that's one of the components that we will be having after school tutoring here on campus. We'll be getting that schedule out in a couple of weeks once we get settled in with our Prep tutoring group. There's a question about uniforms, and I'm assuming they're probably athletic uniforms. So if any student has any athletic gear or anything that was loaned out last year, the registration process is the time to bring textbooks, uniforms, baseball uniforms, football uniforms, anything that you have that needs to be turned in. This would be the time to turn it in.
Yeah, students are going to find that when they get through their stations, if you weren't able to turn in any kind of athletic uniform, cameras, things of that nature, you're going to have a fine on your account because at that time nothing was returned, and so it was almost considered lost. So the easiest way to clear up those fines is to just bring back those items. So if you have those camera cards, any kind of physical equipment, uniforms, please bring it. We will be collecting that at our stations, and that's the easiest way to clear yourself of any fines so that you can proceed through all the stations.
So someone was asking whether students will be required to wear their face masks during their PE class, and how's this going to work? Right now at this point, I'm going to say they will need to wear it, but it may depend on the activity that they're doing. So I'm assuming that if the students are in close contact, the teacher will be asking them to put on their face masks. If they're not, if they're doing an activity where they're far away, where it's considered safe, say 6 feet apart, then the teacher may be okay with not having them wear it. So at this point, we're saying that our students, I believe the students will be wearing their face masks in class. So that would also include PE.
Any indoor setting, folks, you want to know that the default is that the mask is on.
Okay.
Question, how do we know if they need PE clothes? Talk to your child. Most 9th and 10th graders are enrolled in a PE physical education class. Students are required to have 20 credits of physical education to graduate. So Most of those students would be in either 9th, 10th, or 11th grade. So check with your child to see whether or not they're in a PE9 class or a sophomore level course that requires physical education.
Right, and part of the, check your emails, folks, as well. You should have received some emails from Monica Reyes, our activities clerk. Part of the registration flyer also includes regarding different kits that we offer. So there are different things that you could take advantage of, such as our freshman kit. We have a senior kit. There's a Viking Spirit kit. So you could basically bundle several of these items together, such as your gold card, so you can come see all the athletic events at school, your football games, your basketball games, your Letterman, your books, all that kind of stuff. There's PE clothes for sale. You will be required to wear a t-shirt, shorts. I believe there's sweats option as well, but that will be available for all grade levels to purchase on the day of their registration as well.
There was a question of if a student already had COVID, does the student need another COVID test? Well, if the student, well, it depends. If the student's been vaccinated, then they could get a fast pass and not worry about that. If they haven't been vaccinated, then they will be subject, like everyone else, to a COVID-19 screening. So that's how we'll go about with that. Okay. All right, next question. Will we be getting a school supply list for each period? Well, each teacher will have their own list of specific supplies they may need, and some may not. The minimal expectation is that you come with your writing utensils and your notebooks so that you can have something to write with, and whatever other materials your teacher may ask of you.
Many teachers have transitioned to many items being on their Chromebooks, so I would recommend, as we've been saying, bring your Chromebook every day because a lot of the things that we've utilized this last year will be continuing to use, such as Google Classroom and a lot of online software.
Someone's asking whether sport practices will be cut short due to the new schedule. At this point in time, I'm going to say no. Practices will continue as scheduled as they have in the past. And one of the reasons I'm going to advocate for that is because I want to make sure that the kids are well prepared to whatever activity they're going to do. It would be considered a safety aspect from my perspective. So I would say we're not going to cut practices down.
Teams will adjust, and one option for many of our athletes is to sign up in 7th period athletics class so they can begin those practices early, and they can be doing that during the 7th period. So that's something that you could speak to your counselor about. So if you need PE credit and you're thinking of, or you're already enrolled in one of our sports right now, let's say you're in football, that is a class that you could be taking and earning some credits toward graduation.
There's also a question regarding how are schools going to be sanitized. One of the important components during this last year, we put a lot of money into our HVAC system. So we have new ventilation systems in our HVAC system. All our classrooms have a system called Air Guardian. That's a UV protection against COVID that's installed in every single classroom. Plus all our classrooms are cleaned daily. And we've also have COVID-19 foggers that are used daily to disinfect and sanitize the classrooms on a daily basis.
And we will also have a hand sanitizer throughout our school, in the classrooms, in the hallways, so that you have access to that as well.
All right, and student wanted to know if this will be posted on YouTube. And I believe that this will be posted on our YouTube channel. And so, yeah, you will be able to see this presentation once it's posted.
Yes, we are recording this presentation. We'll upload it to our website, hopefully as early as tomorrow.
And how much would I have to pay if I'm responsible for the damage of a Chromebook charger? if it's damage to a Chromebook charger, I am not sure on the price. Are any of you respond? No? Any of you answer that question?
Yeah, we'll have to check with our tech, but I believe it's $13 for the replacement cord. So just what I recommend the student is to bring us a cord to see whether or not it's faulty. It was faulty on the technical side, and then we could look at replacing that.
And again, if you folks have any questions, feel free to add them at the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, so we have a question again. Will the students be required to wear their face masks during their PE class? How's that going to work? I think I've answered that question already. That will be determined by the teacher themselves. If right now the requirement is that they will be wearing face masks, but I'm assuming that if everyone's outside and you have the proper distance between students, I think that the teacher may allow to put that face mask down. But at this point, if they're within close proximity or they're inside a classroom, the masks will need to stay on. And maybe this is one you can answer, Mr. PS. It says, I have a question for the sports. I did mine online, but they didn't answer me. Will they tell me if I'm in or not? So I think we need a little bit more clarification on that.
Yeah, so typically when you fill out one of the permission click online clearance packets, we get an email sent to Miss Monica Reyes, our activities clerk. So we try and check that pretty regularly to see if everything was filled out correctly. A lot of times, if you don't show up cleared on our roster list, it's because maybe something didn't come across, didn't get uploaded correctly, or was too blurry or something. We've had that a couple times with some of the physical forms. So my recommendation would be reach out to Ms. Reyes. You can reach out to her at monica.reyes@emuhsd.org, and she can let you know where you're at. It could just be that something that you uploaded maybe didn't come across correctly, or we had a question on something that was submitted. Once you've done that, you'll be cleared to participate in a sport. You typically just let us know which sport you're going out for, and then we would add you to the roster that goes with. And we are still looking for a lot of athletes. Certain sports have had tryouts already, like our cheer and our volleyball team, but there are many others, such as cross country, football, that are looking for a lot of athletes. So if you're still interested, there's still plenty of time, but the first thing that you want to do is log on to the athletics page and start filling out that packet so that you're eligible to play sports or band. In order for you to be a part of band camp, because it's strenuous and you're outdoors and you're carrying instruments, you need to make sure that you're cleared ahead of time. So please make sure to do that clearance process so that you don't run into any issues the day of.
And the question is, how would my child get her PE clothes?
That's a very good question. So one of our stations will be in the student store. So when you come through, you're going to go through every single station, and someone's going to basically be filling out electronically what we used to call your registration card, and clicking to make sure that you went to every station. So one will be in the student store, and we're selling clothes there. So you can, at that time, pick up a t-shirt, pick up a pair of shorts. If you need more than one, if you would like to get sweats instead of shorts, we basically will have all of that available on demand. So you can pay either with cash or with credit card. We accept credit cards as well. And you can do that the day of.
And will there be after school homework help?
Yes, we talked about that. We are working with Prep, and Learn will be here after school providing tutoring in our library and their teen center. So we'll be posting a schedule and sharing that out with students as well. But yes, they offer typically tutoring from after school all the way to about 6 p.m.
And it says here, what kind of uniforms do we have to return for the registration? I can answer that one. If you were on an athletic team after school last year and you say you were in baseball and you didn't return your uniform, then you would have to return it the day you register.
Right.
And how much does the PE clothes cost?
I believe they're about, the t-shirt and shorts, I believe are at $12 each. So it just depends if you want sweats. I think they're a little, the price is a little different. You can go on our website as well. This information is listed there under that same athletics and activities tabs. That information is there. We even have an online web store. So you could buy some of these items ahead of time. You could buy them online. You just have to follow the directions as far as creating an account, and you can order it there and pick it up on the day of.
And it says, do we have to wear PE clothes?
I mean,
Well,
yes, typically when you're doing exercises, and again, this is only one period of a day, we ask that you come dressed appropriately for physical exercise. So we've talked about that in the past, t-shirt and shorts. You want to make sure to work with your teachers so that they could tell you specifically what kind of clothing you'll need, because the type of exercise that you're doing, whether you're running the mile, you're lifting weights, it's not the kind of thing that you could be lifting in jeans and your button-up shirt. So we do offer our own option. If you've had uniforms from the past and you have that readily available to you, I believe we've been able to work with students as well. But just make sure to communicate with your PE teachers.
and where can students check to see if they have fines prior to coming to registration?
So most students received an email. So you should check. Again, the best thing to do is check your email account. You should have received something from Deanne Corrales, who is our clerk in the student store. I believe she sent out most of the fines earlier. I'm not sure if it's on your portal, but the other way that you could do this is by also calling down to the student store, the activities office. And you can do that tomorrow or these days that are heading up to your registration date to double check if you have any fines at this time.
And will we be getting a new school supply list for each period?
Yeah, traditionally in high school, you won't get a supply list per period. What we just do require, obviously, if they're getting their Chromebooks, bring their Chromebooks all the time. Just require students to have paper, pencil, pen, backpacks to have those supplies ready.
And the next question is how will we know if we need PE clothes? If you're enrolled in a PE class, then you will need your PE clothes. And will student interactions be limited? We're going to say that we encourage all the students to be wearing their face masks. Well, they won't be required in the classroom they should be on. And the student interaction outside, we're going to be encouraging students to, keep to their social distancing and just to be smart about interacting. So, the virus is still out there and we just want to make sure that we stay safe.
Regarding the fines, I got some information, folks, as well, that Ms. Reyes was sharing, that if you go and log into the web store with your student credentials, it actually will show if you are owing any fines. So that's another way to find out very quickly is just go to our website, click on the web store under the activities tab. And if you log on with your EMU HSD credentials, you can see if you have any fines on your account right now.
And how do you sign up for ASB?
That's a very good question. So ASB is currently underway. We've been training this summer, getting ready for the school year. But we are looking for more recruits. We are especially looking for freshmen and sophomore candidates who'd like to join our leadership here at school. So there will be an information meeting the first week of school, and we'll have applications and petitions out the first 2 weeks of school to join ASB. So keep a lookout for some flyers as well as posters around campus about how to get involved if you'd like to join our ASB.
And do returning students need to fill out papers? Mr. Gomez?
Yeah, as far as the registration right now, at this given component, we will have to fill out paperwork. Paperwork will take place after registration. So all students are going to be provided an activation key during the registration process to be taken home to the parents to finalize the registration process.
And my child has a summer school fast pass. Will she get a new one starting this year?
They will. So one of the components is that we want to make sure that we have their vaccination records. So if that was provided to us already to the activities office, there won't be a need for another. But if it wasn't provided, then we would definitely need a copy of that to keep on file.
And
You'll have to take a new ID photo, just to be clear. If you had a summer fast pass, you need to upgrade that to one for the school year, but we can use your information from summer school if you did get one already.
when and where can I get the Spirit Pack?
So again, the best way to do it is when you come on registration day, and you're gonna go to that station. It's in the activities office and see Ms. Reyes. And so you can basically pay your Spirit Pack at that time, and it includes different things. Highly encourage it. You'll save a lot of money, especially if you want to make sure you enjoy this year and get to go to all those basketball, football games, Letterman, all that good stuff, discount at the student store. You can get all that stuff when you go to the activities office and get one of those senior kit, freshman kit, or Spirit kit.
If we're out of state currently, can we go to the school during the 9/13 week to return the summer school textbooks and get classes, etc.? So, okay, so if you've been out of state and I believe, gosh, you know what? I'm not sure if you have to quarantine or not. I would have to get that information out to you later. I'll make clarification on that, or unless one of you know, Oscar or Allende, are you guys aware of it, Mr. P.S.? I'm not sure if we have to quarantine the 5 or 10 days, whatever that is.
Yeah, we have to check the county guidelines from the Department of Public Health. I think the bigger question is that they're asking if they don't come on their grade level day. If you miss your grade level day, unfortunately, you'll just have to come to the first day of school and we'll complete your registration at that point. We won't have the ability to have a senior show up on a freshman day and assist them, because we really schedule these days so we can focus just on those grade levels. And having to go through an entire grade level in just one day is a tough task. So really try your best to make it on your scheduled day. We really push the appointment time so that we don't have huge lines of people backed up. We try your best to make your appointment time. That's the number one. If for any case you can't make your appointment time, you can communicate with us, your counselor, try to make it at some point that day so that at least it is still your grade level and we can work with you.
And can we use a 5-subject notebook, or does it have to be the single notebooks?
Questions like that, it all depends on the teacher. That's one of the things that in high school you're going to be looking at. What are the recommendations from the teacher? You can use a 5-subject divider, but I would just check with your teachers to see what are going to be the requirements for that given class.
And is there a way to complete the prep after school program application online?
That's a very good question. At this time, I only know of the paper application, and prep will be there. They will have a table during registration. So I would just ask them if they have a question for that, but they will be taking applications so that you can take advantage of their tutoring support or after school clubs as well.
And will they take ID pictures on registration day, or will they be using the same pictures from the last school year? We'll be taking ID pictures on registration day.
Yes, we are taking ID pictures at each day based on your grade level. And seniors, if you're out there, we're also taking senior portraits. Today was the first day. Tomorrow is our second day of senior portraits. So if you didn't take one of those, please make sure to stop by. It's a good time to do it right now. You should have an email from Ms. Reyes with an appointment time. It's also on our website. And we're doing that from 8:30 to about 2:30. And, you just come down to the school, check in at the front, wear a face mask, and we're taking those nice portraits as well here on our campus this time.
And for the senior kit, does it have to be paid off the day of registration or any other day during the school time?
Yes, you can purchase the senior kit if you're not able to purchase it on the first day or during registration. We usually leave those kits available usually with that price for the first month or two. If we have to increase it, it usually goes up a little bit. We try to do more of a discount in the first weeks of school. It is important if you want to buy a gold card, for instance, our ASB card. If you can buy it, then it's better because that way we will print you your special gold card ID card. Otherwise, you'll just have to pay and have to create another ID card later on.
And are we going to still join meetings in our computer during in-person class? If you're doing in-person class, the teacher may have a computer activity where you'll need to use it. So just bring a Chromebook every day, just like you would your books, so that you would have that opportunity. So, yeah. And students will be given bell schedules, correct? Including on-block? Yes, they will be posted. It would also be posted on our website as well.
Yes.
And how many credits points do we need to graduate? Want to answer that, Mr. Gomez?
So traditionally it's 220 credits to graduate. There is some new legislation that we'll be discussing with people. You might have got something emailed this weekend on Friday for AB 104. So AB 104 is a new law that is requiring students to only have 130 credits to graduate. That's the minimum state requirement. In order to qualify for that, we'll be talking a little bit more, but students would have to have some deficit grades during the 2020-2021 academic school year to qualify for the 130 exemption. So you have the 220 model graduation, which is the district requirement. And for students who have been struggling academic, there's been some what we call a COVID academic relief bill that was introduced, which would require students to only complete 130 credits. So that's something that you will, students will meet with their counselors and parents to discuss the 130 option if they're eligible for that option.
And will our ID pictures be taken on the day of registration? Yes, they'll be taken on the day of registration. And will the cafeteria food be distributed differently, or is it still like a buffet line? It will be distributed so that it's done safely. The food will be packaged in a way so that it minimizes the interaction of people touching the packages. So for right now during the summer, what we did this past summer is we had the food actually being given to the students, so that the only people that could handle the food were the cafeteria workers. And how much is a PE uniform?
It's about $12 for a shirt, $12 for the shorts.
And are the desks going to be divided with something or spaced out? And how will the classrooms look inside safety-wise? One of you want to tackle that?
Well, at this time, the main protocol that we're getting from CDC and the state and county guidelines call for masking on campus to try to socially distance as much as possible, as much as what we can do within a class, while also offering the opportunity for in-person instruction to all students. So realistically, there isn't social distancing requirements as they were in the past of 6 feet or 3 feet. We will still try our best to accommodate students as best we can in these classes. But that's why the most important thing at this time is to get vaccinated if you have a chance. We are offering still vaccination pop-ups throughout our district, and we will offer that going forward. We also are requiring masks at all times when indoors to maintain that kind of security. And we will also have different opportunities on campus to take testing. For instance, if you're an athlete and you're competing in a lot of high contact sports, indoor kinds of things, we do weekly testing for that.
And are we allowed to use a 5-subject notebook?
You answered that one earlier.
Yeah, and yes, you're allowed to. Your teachers will determine that for you. Some may determine a 5-subject notebook just for one class. So just depends. And we have the price for the PE clothes again. Once again, they're about $12 for the top and $12 for the bottom. And that is answered again. And how much are uniforms again? So we answered that already. They're $12 for the top and bottom. And so all registration forms are being done before or after the appointment.
It's actually a little bit of both. At this time, you'll be coming onto our campus. We will be doing different stations that will be in person. Some things we'll ask you information to verify. We will also then be giving a physical paper to each family that parents will need to take home and complete the registration process online. So that it's going to be a little bit of both. So there will be parts where you need to come onto campus and you need to turn in books, pick up your class schedule, your ID, all those kinds of things. And then there'll be a portion that we'll need you to complete as well when you go home.
And this question was asked already. Let's see if we can answer it again. How many credits are required to graduate? Mr. Gomez?
So like I mentioned before, 220 credits is what's required to graduate as part of the El Monte Union High School District. There is new legislation for those students who had some academic difficulties last year, which if they do qualify, there's new legislation, AB 104, that would allow students to graduate with 130 credits. So you'll have to meet with your counselor to determine what track you will follow, either the model graduation for any student, especially if you're going to be meeting your A through Gs, planning on attending a college, either community college or four-year college. The 220 requirement is what our model district requirement is. And the 130 requirement would be what we call the California model requirement.
Next question is, do we need to do anything before going to registration on campus?
The biggest thing is make sure you're looking at your emails, you're checking when your registration date is, and that you provide any textbooks that you need to bring on registration day. On the actual registration day, we will be providing you the activation key that will allow you to finalize your registration process at the end of the registration through the parent portal.
And do the parents go with the students for registration?
All parents are always welcome to come to the registration process, but it's not required.
And again, how much the PE clothes cost? They're $12 for the top, $12 for the bottom. And then our next question is, are desks going to be divided with something or spaced out? And how will the classrooms look inside safety wise? Want to answer that again, Mr. Yes?
Yes, so, for the most part, when we come back to in-person instruction, a lot of it's going to be very similar. You will have, seating for the class capacity. So under state law, what we're trying to do is make sure that everyone who wants to do in-person instruction has the opportunity to do that. So, typically that could mean 30 students in a classroom again, and some classes bigger or smaller depending on the class. We are requiring all students to wear masks. We have air guardians that are installed in each classroom that have ultraviolet capabilities to basically zap out the COVID as it's there. We have new ventilation systems that have been updated, new AC systems to help with ventilation. Spacing wise, it's really going to be dependent on how many people are in each class. We're going to try our best to kind of space things out, but in some classes, based on the seating capacity, you will be in pods, you might be in fours, you might be in single rows. It will depend on the amount of students in that classroom.
And will our ID pictures be taken on registration?
Yes.
All right. And the next question is for PE, could we bring our own sweatpants? Yes, you can bring your own sweatpants.
Yeah, again, just check in with your teachers. I just want to make sure, folks, if you bring your own clothing, it is something that's going to be appropriate for PE.
Right.
It's not
Right.
like coming on and just, running in whatever you got on. You do want to make sure that you're prepared for the physical exertion of PE.
And will there be a fast pass for lunch for students who have a 3.0 GPA or higher? Or will the school do the lunch lines like if the students need to be 6 feet apart?
So lunch is something that we're still working out with nutrition services, whether that means we'll be able to go to our old fast pass system with the lunch lines and taking advantage of honor roll. We hope to, but we're still going to take some guidance regarding how they want to do lunches at this time.
And if my child has a summer school fast pass, will she get a new one for this year?
Yes, two things, because the fast pass was using your old photo, and some of those are very old and not updated. So you will be coming onto campus. You will be taking a brand new ID picture so that it's current and it's what you look like at this time. If you had already turned in the documentation, your proof of vaccination status, we'll use that to put the same kind of mark now on your new fast pass for this year.
And are there any rules for social interaction between students, especially during any form of free time? Generally speaking, we're asking students to keep a safe distance. We're going to be encouraging them to keep their masks on during their free time. And I'm assuming that by free time, they mean outside or during passive time or nutrition or lunch. Right, we're going to be encouraging students to keep their mask on and to social distance. And that's how we're going to deal with that. All right, next question is, it says can't register online. So.
Well, registration hasn't, the portal isn't active at this time to begin registration. And like we mentioned, you're going to need a special password per each student. And that's what you're going to get when you come to your registration. We will give you your password credentials. It's an activation key is what our district is calling it, that you'll need to then enter on your parent portal.
And it says for our registration appointment, if we can't make it on time, can we make it a bit later? As long as it's not too much later. We don't want it to be 1 or 2 hours later. You're going to be 15 minutes late. It's not a problem. And we're okay with that, but we encourage you to be on time. Otherwise, the lines get really long. And how will the distance work when in class? How will the distance work when in class? I think one of you answered that earlier. Was it Mr. Gomez? Or was it Mr. PS, where we talked about the rules inside the class with distance, social distancing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've answered that question.
Yeah. You want to answer it again, sir?
Yeah, we will social distance to the best of our ability. It's not required at this time by the state or county anymore, because the number one thing is to offer in-person instruction. And the protocol thus far for our district and county is to require that all students and staff, regardless of vaccination status, have to wear a mask whenever indoors.
And it says here, should I contact the attendance office prior to the registration day, since my son will have surgery soon? If so, will he still have to go to registration? If your child is going for surgery or any type of medical procedure, we suggest you check with your doctor. If he's not capable of coming to registration, just let us know. Parents can come in the place of the student as well. But just with that kind of situation, we recommend that the parent contact the school, and we'll talk and do what's appropriate. Are we allowed to use a 5-subject notebook? You are allowed to use a 5-subject notebook. There's no rules against that. It just depends on your teacher and what they're asking from you. Are ASB students required to purchase a gold card?
It's not required, but we highly encourage it, because so much of being a part of the ASB is to be at these events, to be a part of that magic, having to set things up, having to help do the spirit sections, the student sections, the spirit nights, the dances, and all those things have major benefits with the gold card, because you're saving money in the long term. I mean, if you go to 5 basketball games and they're like $8 to $10 each time versus paying for a $30 gold card, you're going to save significant amounts of money. So as an ASBer, I usually typically promote that this is the best time to do it right now in the summer. Typically we raise the price later on, but it'll cover, everything that you need it to basically cover when it comes to athletic events, student store, dances, your letterman, your patches, everything. If you played sports, all those things, it's a discount, it's a bargain compared to having to pay for those things each and every time. I mean, you're going to find out if you go to 3 football games, you're going to be paying the same amount as if you got a gold card. So to me, I always try to think of ways to help our students save money. And so that's why we always try to push the gold card.
If I have bought an ASB gold card before, but didn't receive it because of COVID, do I have to buy another one?
Gold cards are bought every single year. So every year is different. So even if you bought a gold card last year, the year before, you'll want to buy a gold card for this year. It's basically for every academic year, it'll say on your card when that card is valid. And the good thing about the gold cards too is that they are accepted at the other schools too. So when we go play away, whether it's basketball or football, and we go to an away game at El Monte, South El Monte, Rosemead, you want to go cheer on your friends, you also will get allowed free into those games with your gold card. So it's not even just for home games, it's also for away games.
And can we go earlier than our timed appointment for registration?
No, remember our appointment times are set, so we want to make sure that you go during your set time.
Okay, and how do we sign up for band?
There's different information out there. You can email our director, James Faraci. I've seen online that it's also their Instagram, their media account has information on that as well. You can also contact Miss Ray. She could put you into contact with who you can get a hold of there. But the biggest thing is to make sure that you already are cleared. So if you want to do band camp, if you want to be a part of band, and like I said, they're starting soon, you want to make sure that you're cleared. If you're not cleared, you won't be allowed to practice. Even if you are very talented, we want you in band, because you're going to be out there in the sun, you're going to be carrying instruments, all that stuff. You need to make sure that a doctor has cleared you for that kind of physical activity.
And can we go earlier than our appointment time? That's been answered, and the answer is no. And the reason we don't want to do that, it's because then it just clogs up our lines when someone is late or early. So we recommend that you come at your assigned time to minimize wait for everyone.
I think, Mr. Marquez, we've answered most of our questions.
We need about 12 more, if that's okay.
It might be the same ones. Are we closing them as we?
Right, yeah, it seems to be the same ones as we're going through.
Where are the school supplies listed?
School supplies would be traditional. They won't be listed. Pencil, pens, paper, markers,
Yeah,
color pencils.
yeah. And is everyone, it's listed by teacher actually. So whatever supplies that your teachers are asking for, that's what you need to get. And is everyone all going to pick up their books this week or next week? They will pick it up during registration. So at the end of the registration process is when they'll get their schedule, their hard copy schedule and their books.
Yeah, so we recommend bringing your backpack on that day. We also have a couple extra backpacks that we give away each year. So that's another supply you can pick up, but you will get all your books. They can be a little heavy, so just plan for that accordingly, okay?
Hey guys, we're almost done. We're down to our last 9 questions. Will everything from this orientation be posted on YouTube, including the questions? Yes, everything will be posted. And
more accurately on our website, which we tend to have a YouTube channel just for all the things that we record.
And for the OPL option, will there be a Zoom meeting or is it all independent work? It will be all independent work. With some days, it will require that the student come into campus and work 1 day on campus through an OPL room. And can we go earlier than our appointment? We've answered that. We said no, because everyone has their set appointment time, and it would be great if you come at your assigned time. And where do I get my fast pass? You will get it during your registration. Just be sure to bring proof of your vaccination And when we take your ID card picture, your FastPass will be embedded on your ID card. And I currently can't log into Synergy. When will it be available for use? How do we, when will it be available for use, Mr. Gomez?
It will be available beginning on Thursday after the registration process. So students will go through the registration process. They'll have their activation key that they will take home, and then parents can finalize the registration process from home.
All right, and can we go earlier than our appointment time? We've answered that already, and the answer is no. You come at your assigned time to minimize the wait time for everybody. And when ASB students help us set up events, do they still have to pay to attend said events? That's a good question.
Depending on the event, some events don't have a charge, whether it's like an assembly or welcome back rally. But for the most part, you know, ASBers, we try to be equitable and the same as our fellow classmates. So, you know, we try to model things. So again, I always push the gold card, because if it's going to football games, and we're going to pretty much be at all of them, because we're trying to run the fun halftime shows and do all those different things that we do. I always recommend the gold card, because it's less of a hassle having to go over to the ticket booth and pay and then come back in. So, you know, we want to model what we want every other Viking to do. So my ASBers, I always recommend go get that gold card, because you're going to use it all the time.
Oh yeah, it says here, will everything be recorded? Yes, everything is being recorded and will be posted online on our website. And where do we see our assigned times? And Mr. Gomez is answering that question. And that is the last question.
So email. So the only appointments that have gone out today are for seniors only. So tomorrow we'll send out for juniors. On Wednesday we'll send out the sophomore appointments, and then on Thursday we'll send out the freshman appointments, and we'll continue to send reminders throughout the week.
And I just want to thank everyone for asking 135 questions. That was great. We appreciate everyone's patience. We still see that there's at least 72 people still online. So thank you. We're excited about everyone coming back, and have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.